Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to introduce my ultimate system for studying step one. The goal of this system, first of all, is to build a substantial knowledge in you and get you ready for step two. That's the most important goal. Actually, the most important goal is to pass in this step, right? But like I assume that's a part of every kind of advice, every kind of system that's out there. But so the most kind of unique goal is to get you ready for step two. And then if there's a third goal, it would be to kind of like make it simple and not have you spend a lot, like more time than you need to on it. And the reason for that is that this exam is pass fail. So you don't need to do super great, although I encourage you to do it because it prepares you for step two. Okay. And I think that is really important, especially if you're from a Caribbean medical school, from a medical school that's not big. If you want to go into a heart specialty, getting a good step two, from my understanding and my research, is the most important thing on your application. Okay. All right. So I've broken it down to, there's main four pillars of your studying that you need to have, right? And I wrote them in order. So you need to have a way of learning the content, right? You need to have a way of reviewing what you learned so you don't forget it and hammer it down. And then you want to practice. And then right before your exam, you want to assess yourself, see if you are in a reasonable safety margin of passing, okay? Now, this can be applied pretty much any point in your second year, right? So this is not only for getting you ready to pass step one. This is kind of applicable for the entirety of second year. The only reason I'm not saying first year is because first year, you need to learn some anatomy, you need to learn some of the basics. And what I have here is really like not about the basics, is more about like the pathology, the physiology, the pathology, the pharmacology, the microbiology, the stuff that's going to be more on the step, right? Your first year stuff, you need to know to be able to learn these stuff efficiently and to be able to have a good understanding and not make it overly hard for yourself, okay? But now let's get into the bulk of the video. For content, main things you want to study in your second year is pathology, physiology, pharmacology, right? Pathology, pharmacology, microbiology. Physiology, anatomy, you've already learned. Some of the basics are going to come back, but that's okay. Biochem, for me, was a first year thing. But I think the main three, pathology, microbe, and pharm, is mainly like second year stuff for most medical schools. But at least this is what my experience was in SU, which is St. George's University in the Caribbean. So, but I still think there is like 95% of the content in this video is going to be applicable to everyone. So for your path, you want to use Pathoma, right? You don't want to use your lectures. Your lectures are probably not good. Use Pathoma. It's way better, way simpler. It teaches with like giving you a reason why, for example, this looks like this in pathology. Oh, it's because protein complexes are participating here, not just like this is what it looks like. This is the next one. This is the next one. It gives you a reason so you have a way of remembering what you want to learn, right? So Pathoma. And then for pharm, micro, you want to use Sketchy. Sketchy is really good because it kind of like pharm and micro are mostly memorization, and Sketchy hammers them down pretty well. If you have like problem remembering them, watch the videos more than once. But the first category and second category kind of go hand in hand because for review, I use the OnKing deck. OnKing. Okay, what is OnKing? It's a pre-made deck. So someone has already made these cards for you. You don't need to go make them, right? And the cards have been used. Each card has been viewed by probably tens of thousands of different students. So it's like extremely peer reviewed, right? There's not going to be a lot of big mistake. There's very rarely I find a mistake in there. And if it's a mistake, it's like a mistake because the source made a mistake, right? So I use OnKing. The good thing about that is that I didn't have to make the cards myself, right? That takes a lot of time, right? The other good thing about it is the quality is really high because these have been created and like improved upon from the different iterations and year after year after year, right? So I used the Pathoma pre-made cards plus the sketchy ones. I had some stuff from M1 that I like reviewed once in a while, but mainly biochem, right? I also used the 100 concept anatomy deck. This is good because it gets you step ready, right? Anatomy can be like many books, but there's only certain concepts that are medically applicable that are tied to pathologies, that are tied to emergency situations that you need to know. And this 100% deck, which I think is 100 slides somewhere, you can download it, like Google and download it. It's not all these things that I'm mentioning that are open source. You can Google and download them. Although Unking has recently, like, there's a paid model, but you pay like $5 a year or something like that. I don't know exactly how that works, but you can still find the older like editions online for free. So this is what you want to do, like throughout like M2, right? You kind of got to be doing this throughout M2. If you haven't done it and you did whatever else to prepare, that's okay, right? It may not be the best possible way to build knowledge, but you've still built some knowledge. You've still passed your medical school exams. The knowledge is still somewhere in there, or like it's going to be way easier for you to relearn it now. But so the most important phase is going to be the practice phase, right? This is you doing questions. How many questions? As much as it takes to get your performance up, right? There is 4,000 UWorld questions. There is 3,000. There's 3,000 Amboss questions, and there is probably like 6,000 old MBME questions. I'm gonna put this one in parentheses because I think you should do UWorld and Amboss first, and the reason for that is simply because they have better explanations. Sometimes for the old MBMEs, like you're gonna like find sketchy explanations online, or like some of the explanations is gonna be wrong, or they're not as comprehensive. They don't give you reasons. UWorld and Amboss, I personally love Amboss explanations. UWorld also is, it's the gold standard, but I think Amboss sooner or later is gonna become better than UWorld if it isn't already. And a lot of it is because of the library they have attached to it. So the explanations are much better. And even, let's say the answer of the question is A, Amboss is a better choice at explaining what B, C, and D, and E are, and how they would, and in what situation A, B, and C would be the answer to this question. So it kind of, when you're doing one question, you're learning several concepts with Amboss. So I personally like Amboss more, and that's what I'm probably going to use more for my step 2 review. I'm still going to do UWorld, to be honest with you. So you want to do as many of these. How much? You want to do like maybe 80 to 100 questions a day. And if you get them wrong, you want to make Anki cards out of the concepts you were missing. I didn't use a pre-made Anki UWorld deck because I thought I was stupid. Because if I got question 29, whatever, wrong, right? I may have struggled with a really specific reason why I got it wrong. Like I may not have remembered this word, or I may not have remembered what this drug means, right? Or I may not have, remember this particular aspect of this pathology that I'm susceptible to forgetting this particular aspect, right? But that might not be the case with you, right? Yeah. So I made my own cards. Like if I forgot the name of the drug, which I tend to do, I put the name of the drug there, right? If I forgot a particular aspect of pathology, I made that a quiz. So I made my own Anki cards. I recommend it 100 times better than using pre-made cards. Besides, pre-made cards will add up really, really fast. And there's no guarantee you're going to get that question right ever again, because you may not, it may not have been the point you were struggling with. It may be something you already knew, but the automatic algorithm you put for Anki doesn't know that. It's just adding shit ton of cards to your deck, and now next thing you know, after 3 weeks, you have 5,000 cards you need to do, and most of them you kind of know. You don't think they're important. You're not particularly susceptible for getting them. So make your own cards. If you do 80 to 120 card questions a day, this is assuming you're doing full time. This is probably in your dedicated, but even in your pre-dedicated, you can do 20 questions a day and you can do it for 3 months, and that would be a substantial sum of questions, right? After you're comfortable, you're getting a percentage you're comfortable with on your Amboss and UWorld. I don't know what that percentage is for you, but probably try to get above around average at minimum, right? That's what makes sense. You get to assessment. What do you want to use for assessment? UWorld, UWorld self-assessment 1 and 2. You want to use the free 120. I would use old and new. And all these guys, the best practice is to learn their explanations and like learn from them. That's like, and the assessment section is probably going to be about 1,000 questions, and these are the most relevant, the kind of quote unquote best 1,000 questions. So you want to learn everything about it. Although I didn't have enough time, I didn't do it. Besides, also it's like a pass-fail exam. And I'll tell you using this method what I got on my free UWorld self-assessments 1 and 2 in a second. So kind of like to show you, I kind of know what I'm talking about. And then NBME, you would want to do 26 to 31. I don't know if it's 25 or 26. That's the first one. You want to do some of these. I wouldn't, you don't have to do every single one of them because they're expensive too. But you want to do them and then use these for your self-assessment. See like if you're ready to write the exam or not. For me, I took UWorld self-assessment 1 and 2 in a row. I got the estimator said that I got 277 on 1 and 258 on 2, right? So I thought I should probably like average these two, and like that would be what I would get on the actual exam. And I think if you average them too, it's like 268 or something like that. So I think like this is like, I'm assuming like the last 2 years of work that I put, I want to associate a number with it. I don't want to like just see a pass or a F. Well, probably not an F, hopefully. Just a letter on my transcript. I want to get a number that is, you know, hopefully UWorld puts a lot of effort into coming up with this number and like calculating everything how they should be. So this is what I believe I would have gotten on the actual thing. At least like this is what I'm telling myself. I know they underestimate. So self-assessment 1 is known to overestimate, 2 is known to underestimate. Also took 2 right after 1, so I spent like a 9-hour day writing the exam. Assuming other people aren't doing that, which I assume most of them are not doing that, or at least some of them aren't doing that, then in that case my 2 will be either more often underestimate. So it should give me a reasonable prediction for what I would have gotten in step 1. Again, your goal in this is to kind of like get it the most efficient, you know, and you want to build a solid basis for step 2. And I think that what I listed here does that well for you. Yeah. Thank you very much.